how a proposed secrecy law would recast journalism as spying.
Dick jokes to laws being debated in the House of Commons.
Yeah.
Isn't that?
Dick jokes to looming totalitarianism. Isn't that great? Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is... Danny sent me an article in the week. It's a Guardian article. Apparently written by Duncan Campbell and Duncan Campbell. I'm not sure quite how he wrote this one twice, but he's managed it.
Yep.
It's titled, How a Proposed Secrecy Law Would Recast Journalism as Spying, in case you couldn't tell from what Danny said. If you're not up to date with this, I can't blame you. Politics is nebulous, dull, and confusing. It's not worth keeping up with the minutiae of every day, but this is important. The Home Office plans to remove the public interest defence for whistleblowing and could put reporters in jail. So what that essentially means is if a reporter goes to, the Lord Mayor of London's office and discovers that all day, every day, the Lord Mayor likes to go to Battersea Cat's home, get a cat, and then kick it out of a window. And then he decides to blow the whistle on that activity, and he's like, look, the Lord Mayor's doing this. Under this new proposed law, they could say, well, no, that's whistleblowing. You're doing damage to the government. Let's put you into jail. Yeah. Which is fucked.
Yeah, very much so. It's a not so subtle attempt to essentially try and remove accountability from the absolute shit wielding shysters in our government, you know. And I think that this was really brought on because of what happened with Matt Hancock.
That is literally just what Darius put in the chat. Yeah, I think you might be right.
Well, yeah, I think you know, it's becoming more and more clear that the Conservative government, in my humble opinion, is a rotting, festering sore that that continuously just has no regard for people's lives or the law, and just keeps getting caught with our fingers in the till. So, you know, what wouldn't you do but try and, you know, make criticising us illegal?
Indeed.
It's really weird. Like jail, isn't it like jail sentences up to like 14 years if they embarrass?
Maybe
I saw that.
Font that they write this article in is difficult to like scan. It's really not great. One of my favourite quotes from this article is, journalism could create far more serious damage than a spy. Good.
Wow.
If it could, good.
Yeah.
It should be able to do that. Because if you are in a situation where you think, wow, I'm sitting on some explosive news that could do damage to politicians, good, you should be able to share that. I would like to know the bad things my politicians have been doing. Because if you don't, then what's the point in electing them?
Absolutely. I hope that this is obvious to most people, that this is really how totalitarian states begin to form. Like, just a complete and utter disdain for the journalistic press, you know. I'm tempted to go into the realms of fascism, because do you know what? It's funny I say that. Wait 2 seconds.
I feel like Danny's about to come back with like a manifesto or something. That's the vibe I'm getting.
I'm holding a book here.
Oh, it is a manifesto. You're right.
By Umberto Eco.
Okay.
And it's called How to Spot a Fascist. And Umberto Eco had 14 particular points when it comes to spotting fascism or seeing fascism form in a country, you know. And they're pretty good, but they're not actually in the book, so I'm going to just search them. Umberto Eco, 14 points. Let's see. Okay, the cult of tradition. That's the first point. There's a sort of, I would say that there definitely is a cult of tradition in the Conservative Party. You know, you've got like Jacob Rees-Mogg with his
Minister for the 18th century.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. You know, the rejection of rationalism. Oh, that's a fucking big one with you know, the economy reopening and letting the bodies pile
and also,
high.
Maybe Boris. Maybe we should there's a pandemic. Maybe we should encourage people to wash their hands, wear masks, all that sort of stuff. No, let's reopen it.
No.
Fuck it.
No, it's all good.
Get 'em
You
out
know,
there.
most medical people are telling the government not to reopen, but Boris, you know, in his infinite wisdom, seems to know what's best for himself
and just as
and his rich
a brief
buddies.
interruption, just as a brief interruption, it goes without saying, but if you do not want to go without a mask or go without social distancing or whatever, just carry on. I know I, for one, am carrying on wearing masks.
Yeah,
I'm carrying on social distancing because it's not like the pandemic ended at the stroke of midnight
Absolutely.
a couple of weeks ago. Do you know what I mean?
it's not like
There are still people dying.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
definitely. It's not like the COVID disease is dispelled immediately at midnight, like some sort of fucking Harry Potter book. You know, the cult of action, distrust of intellectualism. You know, I think it was Michael Gove who popularly coined the phrase, "The British people are tired of experts." What? Sorry, they're tired of experts. So you know, I think that's pretty out there. The rejection of analytical criticism. I mean, all you have to do is look at the
Essentially any right-wing politics. A lot of it, because it's a lot of sort of left-wing politics, it literally puts it at the centre. It's like, oh, well, you know, we've paid these scientists to figure out what the best way to do this thing would be, so let's do it that way, because it appears to actually be the best way.
Yep.
Things like UBI that have been tested uncountable number of times in sort of Northern Europe, and have worked brilliantly every time. And so a lot of left-wing policies like that are, okay, well, these scientists have done 1 million studies and have found it's actually really good for everybody. So should we get involved, do you think?
Absolutely. The appeal against the intruders, which I guess is a sort of reference to, you know, the sort of rampant xenophobia when it comes to immigration and stuff like that. I mean, that was the whole sort of catalyst for the Brexit movement. Yeah. The appeal to frustrated / fearful middle class. I don't recognise that one as much, but it's...
I kind of do, to be honest with you. It's like I grew up in a sort of relatively middle class household, sort of lower middle class, and so I sort of I remember sort of seeing the Conservative government sort of start to gain power and gain authority by appealing to sort of to my parents and to households of people that I knew by sort of saying these talking points that sort of people who were economically slightly well off were sort of like, yeah, okay, that does make sense. I can get behind that. Yeah, okay, I understand that. Do you know what I mean? It's not as pronounced as you know, the day after the Brexit vote, everybody was like, "Whoa, go home." Do you know what I mean? It's not as pronounced as that, but it's definitely out there.
Absolutely. What else? Just 2 seconds. It's went off. The obsession with a plot against the people. I suppose I don't.
I'm not sure if I quite get that.
Yeah,
one.
I don't see that as much, but it's, you know, it's important to sort of keep an eye out for these things. I mean,
or is that kind of a perversion of the they're all coming here and taking our jobs?
Well, yeah, I
thing.
mean
that's a plot against the people,
Absolutely.
and they're telling you to wear masks. Don't wash your hands. Don't wear masks.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
You know, the sort of rampant conspiracism that's come with COVID, that there's some, you know, nefarious sort of backhanded dealings with the virus, as if it's just not an actual, you know, health problem. I
remember, sorry, this is a bit of a light-hearted interlude, but I remember just at the start of the pandemic, I would call my granddad. I still do call my granddad, but at the start of the pandemic, I was sort of talking to him about it, and he said, "Yeah, do you know where it's come from, this pandemic, Lou?" And I went, "It's come from China, hasn't it? It's spread from somewhere in China." And he said, "Yeah, well, I've been talking to my mates at the pub, and they think it's either come from China or it's come from UFOs." Okay, Granddad, perfect.
The building up and tearing down of national enemies. I mean, all you have to really do is look at the influence that people like Tommy Robinson have had on certain groups of people in this country. You know, you've had EDL marches and you know, people like Katie Hopkins and just these sort of previous media people that have now just shifted completely to the, you know, the right wing of politics and constantly are talking about, Katie Hopkins referred to immigrants as cockroaches, and just utter despicable sort of rhetoric that comes with these people. And it's like, Tommy Robinson was like part of like UKIP. Like it was like an actual established political party in this country. Like a man of that, just that, a man that vile and disgusting.
This is a bit of a tangent. Are you aware of what's happened with Katie Hopkins in Australia?
Oh, but that she was awarded an award that called her a cunt or something?
No, but that is brilliant. She was on Celebrity Big Brother in Australia, or she was slated to be on Celebrity Big Brother in Australia.
Yeah.
And because in Australia I don't want to say they've eradicated COVID, because I don't think that's quite accurate, but because it's a big island, they can essentially say, okay, you cannot come into the country if you aren't willing to just stay in a hotel for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And which is, I think, is what New Zealand have done, and Australia have sort of followed suit. So Katie Hopkins was flying over there to participate in Big Brother. And sort of was like, yeah, I'm not going to stay in the hotel. Like, she was sort of saying this to people like on the way, and talking to people as she could. Like, yeah, I'm not going to stay in the hotel. I'm not going to wear a mask. I don't really think it's real, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All this right wing conspiracy nut job type stuff. And then they were like, okay, bye then. And the Australian government just kicked her out and sent her back to England.
That is fantastic.
It is, because it's so rare, because she's rich and white. She will not see sort of consequences for a lot of her despicably racist and offensive things that she does.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see her get a comeuppance every now and then.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mentioned the video where it was like, I think it was someone from like Australia or New Zealand that had like pretended to like be this organisation of like-minded people. And she was invited as the guest of honour and was given this award, and it the abbreviation spelled cunt, and she she spent like an hour saying these absolutely disgusting things, and they were all caught on camera and like posted, and like she was made to look like an absolute idiot. So
because it was like the Council of Uniquely Nationalistic something or other, or like the initials spelled cunt, and then they presented the award to her, and the slide changed behind her.
That's right.
So it was like cunt, but like it was all the first letters of all the words were sort of big and bold, and like they had little tiny sort of the rest of the word underneath. So there's this picture of Katie Hopkins in front of a sign that says cunt, which is always lovely.
Absolutely. Number 9, the principle of permanent struggle. I guess I don't really see that as much. It's like, because it's still in I would say it's definitely in the early stages, but there is a sort of there's I mean, Umberto Eco, there's echoes of fascism in this country, and the way that our government sort of works. Mass elitism, nationality is the ultimate privilege. I mean, all you have to do is look at the propaganda that we were looking at last time with the One Britain, One Nation song that they're teaching to kids. The Department of Education was trying to sort of put the cult of heroic death. I don't see that as much, to be honest.
I certainly see that. That's one of the things that I absolutely loathe, is soldiers. A lot of the time you'll see like in political speeches and stuff like that, and especially leading up to things like Remembrance Day, you see politicians being like, and of course, thank you to the troops, and it's almost like a compulsion that they have to say the troops every like sort of 10 seconds or something. It's really ludicrous. The one that got me was, do you remember Colin Thackeray?
No.
He was a soldier who went on Britain's Got Talent as an old man. He was I'm not going to pretend I understand the ins and outs of like the military pension system, but there's this organisation called the Chelsea Pensioners, where essentially if you are a soldier, you can go and live in this sort of shared accommodation, and you get access to sort of certain utilities and stuff, and you live there, and they get like a special uniform that they wear at like military parades.
Yeah.
And he came onto Britain's Got Talent with his Chelsea Pensioners uniform, and he sang sort of 40s songs, things like "We'll Meet Again" by Vera Lynn, and
I see,
things like that. And he won that year. And I remember being completely like thinking it was bizarre, because he was an okay singer. He wasn't amazing. He wasn't terrible. I'm certainly not better than him.
Yeah.
But like, I remember thinking, he's won because he's old enough and he's singing songs from the 40s, and people are thinking about, oh, Battle of Britain, and oh, we love Winston Churchill, and this is this brilliant sort of nationalism that we're all banding together with the Blitz spirit, and we're all going through Brexit together, and that was, I sort of felt like that was the reason he won, sort of thing, which was deeply fucked and really annoyed me. I remember looking it up at the time. I forget who it was that said, but someone said to us, oh yeah, he fought for your country. When I was sort of expressed displeasure about Colin Thackeray having won, and somebody said, well, he fought for your country, so I looked it up. He was in the Korean War, which I think was actually a war we lost. So is that so? Not only so okay. Well, he was out there doing stuff, but was it worth it? No, it wasn't worth it. It was a war that not only did we lose it, if anything, the fact that we lost it made the entire situation much worse.
Yeah.
So if we'd have just never been there, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's the cult of heroism that I see. Of heroic, obviously, Colin Thackeray's still knocking about, but like you do see it a lot with memorializing soldiers from D-Day and stuff. Like every single D-Day, they get somebody on BBC News that's either one of the last guys from D-Day, or it's, oh, my granddad was there on D-Day, and this is his service revolver, and etc. etc. And it,
I mean,
it really frustrates me.
There are absolutely wars that are completely justified. I think fighting the Nazis was absolutely necessary, but it's just the sort of, it's just this sort of cult that comes with it, as if it's if we could avoid war altogether, and just make sure that war doesn't happen, that's probably better than
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Bolstering it every opportunity we get,
I think it's at the core of my sort of political beliefs. It's like everybody is just some guy. That's everybody, literally, regardless of anything. Everybody is just some guy.
Yeah.
And while that means that some people get a downgrade, so I think that, say, Jeff Bezos doesn't deserve to have all the money he has because he's just some guy, it means that some people get an upgrade because they don't have anything. And as they're just some guy, they get access to a house and to universal basic income and to food and to support from the state. Everybody's just some guy. Soldiers are just some guy that's just happened to be wearing a uniform that just happened to be there.
Yeah.
I understand that some wars need to be fought. It boils my blood to see this worship of soldiers. It really infuriates me.
Yeah, it's not the war that people should be celebrating. It's the fact that we beat fucking Nazis. I mean, that's the thing that we should be celebrating, not Proud Britannia with our flag flying in a sort of propagandistic way. It's the fact that people went over and fought absolutely despicable people that emanated some of the points that our own government is emanating. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like that should be what we're worried about, and sort of instead of trying to suppress journalists, we should be trying to make sure that shit like the Nazis doesn't ever fucking happen again. Number 12, machismo, which I definitely fucking see. Just this aggressive sort of masculinity that comes with men need to be strong, and we need to, one Great Britain, strong Britain. It's like that's a tale as old as time, definitely.
Yeah.
Number 13, notion that the leader incarnates the will of the people, which I haven't seen yet, but there is a sort of...
I sort of have, I think, to some degree. I think there's... People are overly sympathetic towards Boris. I think that it's sort of... he's considered to be more of a man of the people in a strange way, of like, oh, he's doing what the people want, and we voted for Brexit, and he's delivered Brexit, so he's going to keep delivering on these things that we want. Which, obviously I don't fall into that camp, but like I have seen that, and it's like the irony, of course, is he's not a man of the people. Didn't somebody ask him once, Boris, do you know how much a loaf of bread is? And he said, no, but I know how much a bottle of champagne is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's not at all that.
He used to, when he was at school, he used to go out and burn pound notes in front of homeless people. He's not a sort of a very morally reliable human being, as far as I'm concerned. And last but not least, 14. I mean, it's interesting. 14 years imprisonment and 14 points to recognise fascism. It sort of parallels quite nicely.
Yeah.
Newspeak, which, for those of you that don't know, is a sort of euphemistic way of speaking coming from governments, usually used in political propaganda, which I think most governments use to sort of, actualise their own ends, so that's not anything.
The one that's frustrating me at the moment is pingdemic. Are you aware of this?
No.
Yeah, it's a term which I think it sort of means everybody around the country is getting these constant notifications from their COVID-19 app. So your phone goes, ping, you've been exposed to somebody with COVID or whatever, so please isolate, please wash your hands extra, wear masks, do a test, that sort of thing. And it's being referred to as the pingdemic, but of course I think it's the problem I have with it is it sort of trivializes the situation of it still is a pandemic, and if you're getting the ping, it's because you've been exposed to somebody with a life-threatening disease.
Yeah.
Like, a life-threatening disease whose long-term implications are still not fully understood. People's fucking teeth are falling out. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Which is so completely random as a symptom, and yet it's just, we're using infantile language to just sort of joke about with, it's coming to an end, it's the pingdemic, it's this bloody app, it's just not working right, is it? I haven't been near anybody. Well, maybe you have. Maybe we should exercise an air of extreme caution.
Absolutely. It's taking these things too lightly in service of money and getting the economy open again, It's just... If the government just cared about actually just keeping people alive, that would be good, That would be a good thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But so those are the 14 points that you sort of recognise with fascism, and the Conservative Party has definitely, resonated
hit
with
the vast majority of them.
Quite a few of them, and now they're talking about censoring journalists and locking them up for 14 years. This is extremely dangerous, and either we try and stop them or we do nothing and it happens anyway. So do your bit, protest, do whatever you need to do to try and make it not happen. And even if it's reposting something that you see about it, or just try and do something, because it's like it'll just absolutely destroy any freedom and democracy that we have in this country, because ultimately that's what people like this do. They don't care about you, they don't care about me, and they don't care about anyone apart from themselves. And the sooner people realise that, the better off we're going to be. So, but that's my 2 cents on it. Any final thoughts on it, Lewis?
No final thoughts on it apart from bloody hell.
Yeah, bloody hell, indeed. You can't protest. It's now illegal if the government says it. Well, there was that crime bill as well, with granting police more powers to sort of break up protests if they deemed them dangerous. Which see vagueness in laws, that's even more dangerous, because it makes them more discretionary, and that's something that you need to avoid as well. But we've harped on about it for a bit too long now. But just keep an eye out for it and do your best to try and combat it. That's all you can do.
Indeed.